Subaru Sambar carried more than cargo. It carried one of the strangest, longest, and most distinctive stories in K vehicle history. The name Sambar came from the sambar deer, an animal known for agility, endurance, and sure-footed movement over rough ground. It was a fitting name, because over the decades, the Subaru Sambar would become exactly that kind of machine: compact, durable, and always ready to work. But the story of the Sambar did not begin with a truck. It began with the company behind it. Subaru's roots go back to Nakajima Aircraft, one of Japan's major aircraft manufacturers before the war. After the war, that lineage was reorganized into Fuji Heavy Industries, the company that would eventually build the Sambar. That history matters, because when the Sambar arrived in 1961, it came from a company shaped by engineering discipline, compact packaging, and the idea that limited space had to be used intelligently. And Subaru's answer to Japan's growing need for a small commercial vehicle was anything but ordinary. The first Sambar used a rear-mounted engine, a cab-over body, and four-wheel independent suspension. For a K-Work vehicle in 1961, that was unusually serious engineering. Japan needed a compact truck and van for narrow roads, local deliveries, shops, farms, and everyday work. Subaru did not just make it small, it made it clever. And that is where the Sambar story really begins. Not as a simple K-truck, but as a compact work vehicle built with unusually ambitious thinking from the very start. The rear-engine era. The first-generation Sambar was not about power. Its tiny 356 cubic centimeters two-stroke engine was modest, but the layout was the real innovation. By placing the engine in the rear, Subaru kept the body compact while freeing up useful space. That one decision helped define the Sambar for decades. The second generation refined the same formula, but the real turning point came as K vehicles entered a more modern era. Emissions rules tightened, expectations changed, and small commercial vehicles had to become cleaner, more practical, and more versatile. The Sambar evolved with them. Its early two-stroke character gave way to cleaner four-stroke power, and by the late 1970s, the Sambar was becoming more than a compact city delivery vehicle. It was growing into a serious work machine. Then came one of the most important upgrades in Sambar history. In 1980, four-wheel drive arrived. That changed the Sambar's role completely. It was no longer limited to paved streets and local deliveries. Now it could work on muddy farms, snowy roads, and rough job sites where traction actually mattered. That was one of the defining themes of the Sambar story. Subaru kept taking a tiny K-Work vehicle and giving it more ability than anyone expected. Lineage was over. Workhorse to Subaru icon. By the fourth generation, the Sambar formula had matured. Rear engine, compact body, practical load space, real working ability. It had become a proven Japanese work vehicle. Then came the fifth generation, and with it, one of the most important technical shifts in the entire Sambar story. The move into the 660 cubic centimeter era and the rise of Subaru's EN series engine. This mattered because the Sambar stayed unusual. While many K vehicles used three-cylinder engines, the Sambar kept a rear-mounted four-cylinder layout. That made it different. Smoother, more distinctive, and unmistakably Subaru. The fifth and sixth generations were where the Sambar became more than a useful K-truck. They became the versions many people remember most clearly. This was also when the Dia side of the family became more important. The Sambar was no longer only a work tool. It could also be a compact passenger van, a family hauler, or a surprisingly comfortable little wagon. Then the sixth generation arrived in 1999, and for many fans, this was the peak of the classic Sambar formula. It kept the rear engine layout, it kept the EN series character, and in some versions, it even offered a supercharger. That combination made the late Subaru-built Sambar one of the strangest and most charming K vehicles of its era. A tiny commercial platform with a rear-mounted four-cylinder engine, real utility, and genuine personality. For many enthusiasts, this was the last true Subaru Sambar, the final full expression of the company's original key engineering philosophy before everything changed. The Great Reset. In 2012, the Sambar entered the biggest reset in its history. The seventh generation became the first OEM-era Sambar, based on the Daihatsu Hijet. And with that, the old Subaru formula came to an end. For the first time, the Sambar was no longer mechanically Subaru's own K-truck. The most important change was impossible to miss. The famous rear-engine layout disappeared. In its place came a more conventional front-mounted semi-cab design. That changed the character of the Sambar completely. Subaru's EN series rear-mounted four-cylinder was also gone, replaced by Daihatsu's 658 cubic centimeter KF series three-cylinder engine. For longtime fans, this was the end of the classic Sambar. The machine still wore the name, but the engineering philosophy underneath it had fundamentally changed. Then, in 2014, the eighth generation refined that new direction on Daihatsu's S500 series truck platform. It was cleaner, more efficient, and more conventional. A modern K work truck built for present-day practicality rather than old Subaru eccentricity. And that is what makes the seventh and eighth generations so important in the Sambar story. They represent both survival and loss. The Sambar name continued, but the original Subaru-built rear-engine lineage was over. The many lives of the Sambar. But the Sambar was never only about generations. Part of what made it special was the sheer number of roles it played. One of the most memorable was the Akabu delivery Sambar. Compact, maneuverable, and perfectly suited to Japan's narrow neighborhoods, the Akabu Sambar became one of the clearest examples of what the vehicle was built to do: carry real loads through spaces where larger commercial vehicles simply did not belong. Then there was the JA Sambar, the farm partner. If Akabu represented city delivery, the JA Sambar represented rural work. Its compact size, low running costs, and available four-wheel drive made it a natural fit for agriculture and local utility work. The Dias showed another side entirely. Not just cargo, not just business. The Dias turned the Sambar into something softer and more passenger-friendly. A compact van that could carry family life as easily as tools or freight. And then came one of the strangest chapters in the whole story: the Sambar EV project. An electric Sambar-based postal vehicle was planned through Zero Sports for Japan Post. On paper, it made sense. A compact delivery van, useful cargo space, and electric power for short urban routes. But delays and the collapse of the project ended the plan. The EV Sambar became one of those fascinating automotive near misses. A glimpse of a future that almost happened, but didn't. Lineage was over. What the Sambar really was? So what was the Subaru Sambar? It was a K-truck, but that barely explains it. It was a rear-engine engineering outlier, a delivery partner, a farm machine, a passenger van, a technical survivor. Its name came from a deer known for agility and endurance, And over more than 60 years, that name became surprisingly perfect. The Sambar survived emissions changes, key class regulation changes, engine changes, layout changes, and even the end of Subaru's own K-truck development. It was never the fastest, never the most powerful, and never the most conventional. But that was exactly the point. The Sambar kept finding new ways to be useful, and in doing so, it became one of the most unusual and memorable K vehicles Japan ever made. It started as a compact work vehicle from a company with aircraft roots. It grew into a long-running rear-engine oddball with genuine utility and personality. And even after the Subaru-built version disappeared, the name still carried the memory of something rare,